Alright, hello everyone. Today, I will be showing you how to texture this head model. That's actually where I left you off last time. Before I start, I just want to say I have a new microphone here today. I just bought it today, actually, about, I don't know, 3 hours ago. Came home, tested it out, and I want to make a tutorial for you guys. So, I'm hoping this microphone, it's a condenser microphone, so it is a lot higher quality. I'm hoping you can understand me a little bit better. It's a higher quality than the one I was using, which was just a headset. So anyway, the tutorial. So the problem I had last time was we could not paint on this any bump maps or anything because the GLSL mode I thought was broken. But apparently I just missed a step. So what we want to do first of all is just uncheck this little box here. We're not actually going to use this, or just delete the texture from the head. And what we're going to do is in GLSL mode, texture solid, and we put this to texture mode. Let's just add a lamp, Hemi, and you can see it is now actually lit. So the problem I had was I was not using lights. So that's something very important to remember. Just going to add a few lights here so we can get a nice even distribution. It's not going to be studio quality lighting right now. Alright, so let's just select this head. Go into texture paint. Now what we want to do is we have a material set on here, and we'll just be painting the color and the bump. Not going to worry about anything else right now. So what we're going to start by doing is add a color map. And if we go down here, you can see we have one called color.001, which is what we will be using. So sorry if you can hear my washing machine in the background there. It's a bit loud. So let's just call this head color map. And just a quick feature here, save all paint layers. If we click that, if we just go into the folder here, you can see what we have. So now if we hit save paint layers, it'll automatically create a textures map. Or sorry, texture folder. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Okay, so what we want to do is now just start painting. And I chose this little blue here color. You can choose whatever you want. And under here I'm just going to go paint. And so instead of painting on the 3D model here, we'll be painting it over here. So F, increase the size. And we'll just paint, I'm just going to paint the whole entire map blue. Now, I remember an older version of the Blender, I can't quite find it in this version, there was actually a fill tool where that's under one of these here. It'd be what you do is it just fills the entire object with whatever color you have selected. Alright, so there we are. That's the whole entire model now painted blue, and that's just the base coat, of course. Now, I am no professional texture artist, I will admit that right now. This is just, you know, as a beginner tutorial about how to texture paint. This just shows you the techniques that you could use, or I should say the features, really. Techniques all up to the artist. So this is just some of the things that you could do, you know, some of the tools. Now, you can see that when I added color, it added a map right here, and it has the same name, head color map. We can change that from either or place. I don't know, just call it Mimsy or something. You can see it changes right away. If we hit save all paint layers, you can see usually it should change that actually. Well, it usually does that. So yeah, just call it head color map. Make sure we have good names. So now what we'll do is we'll just add a little bit more color. If you want, you can add another color map below this just by clicking color. And now you can see you have one called, well, another .001 map. So color.001, just call this mesh because that was a mess up. And then you can just call this one straight out color. You can see on this one it's completely plain. So if we took the little paintbrush icon here, you can just click it and it'll allow us to paint on either or of these. So this one's the head color map, this one's second color. So if we start painting, say this is random color, green, we can just take that art off, either one of these with the little eyes, and it'll show the different color maps. So of course I don't really want that green, it's kind of a odd color. What we can do now is just select any color we want, and if you have a pen tablet, the pen tablet is by like Wacom, for example. These are really great. I have one here right now which I'll be using for this demo. They give out like really good effects. Like it feels like you're actually using a pen or paintbrush when doing this. It comes with different tips. I'm using the default tip on it. It's a harder one. So what we can do with that is this allows us to paint a lot smoother. You don't necessarily need one. So yeah, and just paint on, say, the cheeks here. It's a little bit too dark, and that's the exact same color, I do believe. Yeah, you can see, you know, we can just add like little spots if we wanted to. And this is on the second color map, so we have one for base. I'm just going to rename that as base color, you know, keep a good naming convention going on. And remember, whichever one you're painting on is usually the one with the highlight here. So we can add all our maps right now, even the bump, which might take a few seconds. Right here, bump map. And if we go to normal, this is right here, this is our bump map. And I'll show you how to paint that in a second here. Let's just go to secondary color. So, and we can just start painting little details we want to, you know. Now how you paint it is up to you. I'm just going to add something that I think, you know, kind of looks nice. Maybe a little bit right here. And this is just using the standard texture draw brush. Add a little bit extra color there. Maybe make it look like he has some kind of tattoo or something, if you want. You can even put this into an external program like Photoshop or GIMP or Paint.net, whatever you have, and paint your textures there. Me, myself, depending on the model, I'll usually paint it in Blender. It's the odd time though I'll put it to GIMP because I can do a little bit more work in there. Alright, so I'm just going to add a stripe to the back of his head there, and then we'll get to painting the bump map. Alright, so yeah, just something to show you how to kind of texture paint there. You can kind of see it kind of looks cool if you look over here. Interesting looking design. So what we're going to do now is create a bump map. Well, since you already have it here, what we'll do is you can see actually if we go under right here, head low poly, it has set everything up for us for a bump map, just like the color map set everything up for color. It'll do that for any one of these: ambient, diffuse, emit, translucency, alpha, etc. Right, so what we're going to do is just turn up the specular a bit. I know I said we are going to probably paint a specular map, but that's you know, a bit advanced. Alright, so to do a bump map, it's not exactly how you do a color map. It's only uses black and white values. So if you paint it on white, you can see the effect you get there. It kind of goes inwards. If you paint it on black, you can see it kind of goes outwards. I'm just going to put strength up to 100. I have this on pen sensitive, so let me just take that off. There we go. You can kind of see what that looks like painting on the bump map. You just go to the normal here. You can actually see the little spots there where it's darker or lighter. Alright, so painting on the bump map does take up a bit of CPU power. As you can see, it also takes, this model alone takes up a bunch of RAM as well. I have a 8 GB RAM laptop that I'm on, so my configuration can handle this kind of stuff. Be careful how high the texture map you go. By default, the Paint Layers add-on puts all your textures at 2048, which is actually quite high quality. So I don't think you would ever need to go higher than 2048. 4096 would be the highest you would ever need to go, and that'd be for super high detail. But usually I stick to 1024 to 2048 for texture maps, just so it doesn't slow down your render or anything. Right. So to do this bump map, we're actually going to use a texture mask. So as you can see, we don't really have a texture mask we can use yet. So we're just going to add a new texture here. Uncheck it because we don't want the model to use it itself. We only want it as a mask. And then we can choose one here. And I do believe what I used was Musgrave. I'm going to use a color map. And we're going to reverse it. I'm going to show you just quickly what happens when you use a texture map. Bam! You can see that texture is actually getting put on there. Now, of course, if you change anything down here, size, the nabla, I don't really think the nabla might do much, but dimensions, everything, it will all change how it affects on your mesh. So you can go, say, hetero terrain, it'll change how it looks there, and then it'll create that kind of effect there on the mesh. So what I did on the other final model is quickly show it to you here. If we go to texture paint, or sorry, not texture paint, textured mode, it should work. So as you can see, I added a little scar across them. I already have everything set up in that file. That's my little test file to make sure everything's working. So if you want to add a scar, you just add one of these texture maps. I used one that was a little bit harsher looking. Yeah, you just draw right across it. That's basically how simple it is to draw a texture map. Alright, so what we'll do now is just draw it on, maybe around here. Add a nice amount of detail. You could, by the way, also do this while sculpting and bake it to a normal map. The reason why I'm doing it this way is because I've been having problems a lot with the normal map baking. So I just find it easier to do this while sculpting it, or not, sorry, texture painting. And also I just find it gives nicer results. Now, quick little tip about this is it actually has different masking types. The mode we're in right now is tiled, and if you hit this little overlay button, turn up the alpha, you can see how it's actually getting painted on. Those little white spots there are where it is painting, I do believe. So yeah, there's different types. You can go view plane, where it will use whatever this is, however this is set. I'll undo that. You have random, which it'll just be randomized. Quick little demo of that is just you can get interesting effects with that. And then there's stencil, which for some reason I cannot move it. Apparently you can move it somehow. I've never been able to though. And that's just like from wherever you are, you can just start painting it in. Let's just switch the mesh around to point somewhere that doesn't have anything on it. And if you just draw over top of it, you can somewhat see it there. I'll just take off the alpha. You can see it right about here, you can see it somewhere around here. But I don't really want that there, so I'm just going to keep that off. So tiled is one of the best options that they have on here for this one example. You can turn it around and see pretty much exactly where you're going to get your spots. Say, oh, you wanted them right here, and just paint them right on it. And you can also have multiple texture files here for texture masks. So say we wanted one for Roni, and let's just go to ramp as usual. I usually switch these around. I just find that it usually gives better effects for what I'm looking for. Oops. So yeah, you can just play around with the settings here. Maybe change up the size. And then if we go to texture.001, you can see it gives a different result. Just zoom out there, and maybe we'll just do a little bit right here before we carry on. Now would probably be a good time to just save a few times. Save all paint layers. There we are. So now if we go over to, I believe it's here, all these right here are your texture files. Alright, so there is that's what I'll do for the textures. You can probably spend a lot more time working on it. This is just demo. And what we'll do now is go here, under display, take off only render, switch back to my mouse. And what we'll do now is actually set up the lighting and everything. Yeah, we'll set up the lighting, and that'll be it for this tutorial after that. Alright, so I'm going to teach you 3-point lighting. Basically how that works is we're going to have only one spot. Some people have more than one, but I find that looks better with only one spotlight because of shadows. And if we have that little widget on, if we hit the period key, we can rotate around the cursor, which is by the mesh there. So we're going to have one right there. Let's just undo that real quick. R, Z, and then what is it, negative 45 degrees. And then what we're going to do is duplicate that, rotate it 90 degrees. And then maybe pull it out a little bit. Rotate that around, hit comma. Rotate that around the y-axis maybe a little bit. Same with this, just move it. And we'll switch this one out. Just go into our light settings. We can set it to, like, say, Hemi. It's a little bright. So we'll take the energy down to about 0.3. Yes, 0.3 is good. And then we need one final lamp for 3-point lighting. And for this, I actually will go area. I find that they give a nice little effect there. And you probably will need to play around, with the way these are all set up and whatnot. Just bring that down a bit. F12 to render. You can see it kind of gives a menacing look there. It's not exactly what I want to go for, so we'll just rotate this again. Yes, eyes, that's what we need. The eyes, I do believe I put on a different layer right here. Let's move those to layer 1. And we can also quickly UV unwrap the eyes. Let's just select all U. Smart UV project, because they're pretty simple. We can go to texture paint real quick. Add a quick little material. Add color map. Take off this little texture map, unless you want it there, because if you do that, it'll add a little texture while you paint. So let's say we wanted them to have purple eyes. Let's go with that. Let's just go to textured mode. And I'll add a little bit of wackiness to his eyes. There we are. Probably save those paint layers real quick. Just go to down here, save paint layers. F11, just to re-see that. Alright, so we can see the lighting needs to be switched up a little bit. Maybe the camera needs to be moved. Don't want the mesh to be exact center. A little bit of photography tip for you. Rule of thirds, you want it to be just slightly off center to catch the actual viewer's eye. Let's just hit RR and that'll rotate the camera in like a trackball style. See how that looks in the render? Looks good right there. What we'll do now is just quickly adjust that lighting. We might change this actual area lamp into point. Point lamps are just like they basically point everywhere. And adding that in makes it a little bit subtler, more subtle. I think that's the word. We can up this specular here a little bit. Not much to it, so let's just 0.15, maybe 0.2. Yeah, right there. Alright, so yeah, that's what we'll do for now. And in the next tutorial, I will show you guys how to basically do a turntable animation, add all the final effects if we need any, and yeah, that's basically it. So thank you for watching, and see you next time.